Welcome my fellow wordsmith, I'm Tim. This is a very special bonus video since you already got an episode earlier today. And there's a reason why it's coming today and not tomorrow. This video is to celebrate cracking 300 subscribers here on YouTube. Thank you so much to all of you who have subscribed to this channel and helped me reach this milestone. I've been on YouTube since June of 2018 and there were times I never thought I would get this far. I never thought I would get 50 subscribers, let alone 300 subscribers. So thank you so much. Now that this goal has been met, now it's time to strive for the next, which is 500 subscribers, which I know I can and will do in the future. But let's talk about today and how we're going to celebrate. It's time that I talk about the first novel. This was my first attempt at writing a novel and how it was a horrible, no good, very bad idea. Like, subscribe, and the social media I'm slowly trying to get better at. Let's get started. I'll be frank with you, I'm not 100% certain this attempt was the very first attempt at trying to write a novel. My brain wants to say there may have been one or two other attempts, but I can't remember any details or anything about it, which is weird because my brain remembers all that stuff. If it's fragments, I'll remember something about it, and I just can't. So, and again, I just want to stress, this is not about Legends of the Godchild, the first novel I wrote and completed, which also kickstarted the dream of becoming a published author. This first attempt was a few years earlier. I wish I could tell you the name of the book, don't remember it, but I do think it was named after the main character. And the reason why I think I named the book after the main character was because I just made my first attempt at reading Harry Potter series, and specifically Harry Potter Prisoner of Azkaban. Let me set this up. The year was 2002. Harry Potter Chamber of Secrets had just come out in the theaters, and after I got out of the movie, I went up to the local Borders in the local mall, and I was browsing. As I was browsing, I came across Harry Potter series, and specifically Harry Potter Prisoner of Azkaban. And I'm like, why not read it? I mean, I haven't read any of the other two books, but I've seen the movie, so sure, why not? Now, this is an important thing you need to know about me and reading. I had just really started reading a year ago, and it was only the Left Behind series. You know that New York Times best-selling series about how God proves his love to sinners by torturing them for 7 years, and then sending those who don't accept him to burn in the lake of fire for all eternity?
Yeah, that one.
That kind of comes into play for what my book was going to be. Not that bad, but let me get back on track. The long story short is, when I started reading Prisoner of Azkaban, I got 2 chapters in and gave up. I was bored. It wouldn't be until 2005 I actually broke into Harry Potter. And that was after another failed attempt, this time reading Goblet of Fire, getting 7 chapters in before putting it down because I was bored. Ironically, a year later, when I picked up Goblet of Fire again and read the next chapter, chapter 8, the Quidditch World Cup,
I got hooked.
Weird, I know. But with that all said, that set up, let's get into the first book. Alright, even though I gave up on reading Harry Potter in 2002, those 2 chapters was enough to get me thinking about my own idea for a book. And I can't remember how long it took me from the concept of this idea to start writing it, because there was some prep work I needed to get done. And no, I don't mean outlining. That actually would come after me writing a few chapters and then realizing I didn't know where I was going. No, the prep work I had to do was making sure the margins of the word processor I was using matched the margins of the printed book of Prisoner of Azkaban. The reason? I had no difference for this between a word processor or a printed book. And that difference being 250 words on a word processor equaled 1 page of a printed book. That would have been helpful to know. And unlike Legend of the Godchild, I had no desire or even thought of looking up how to write a novel at that time. But eventually, I did start writing. So let's dive directly to the story. Let's get into the details. This story is about a guy.
Me, but with a different name.
Let's call him Skylar because I have no clue what this character's actual name was. He was just like me when I was in high school, with a few differences. One, he was a total show-off, and Skylar wasn't a Christian. I was. Yep, this was going to be a Jesus book. I mean, a Christian novel. Well, Skylar was a show-off for a reason, because he had a special skill or power. Anything he saw, he could copy and remember. So if he saw how someone wrote a unique way or how to do a backflip, he could instantly do it. Because he was a show off, people knew about this, but they didn't know it was like a unique ability. They just thought he was just gifted. Of course, you have a love interest who I believe was new to the school at the time. And of course, Skylar was in love with her on first sight. They get to know each other and she likes him back immediately because that's how I thought things worked back then. I don't remember much about the overall story. I just pieces here. There's probably a little bit more to this. By a little bit, I mean maybe a few bullets I missed. A few minor ideas I missed because this was my first attempt in it. So here's what I remember. What I remember is the love interest won't go out with Skylar because he's not a Christian. There's a school shooting where Skylar tries to take them down. And in that commotion, the love interest gets injured. But something that would slow her down or anyone who's trying to help her escape. After they get away from the school, they're trapped over a few days. I can't remember exactly. Skylar treats the love interest's wounds, while at the same time he's going around trying to take down these shooters. Like he'll take one down, but then more will come and he has to retreat. At some point in this overall event, him and the love interest have sex in the school. And then his very next attempt, his ability to copy what he sees and all the knowledge he's remembered from doing that is gone. This causes him to get shot, not dead, but like he's wounded, like it's not good. But he does get away. But everyone else in the school and the Levengers get captured. Like an ultimatum happens where they're gonna shoot all these people if he doesn't reveal himself or something like that. He does go to save them, even though he's gonna die because he's injured. He's been shot, and then right before he's about to die, he accepts Jesus because throughout the book, the love interest has been talking about how he needs Jesus. And he even admits that the sex between the two of them was wrong because it was outside of marriage. And miraculously, his ability comes back and all that knowledge. And he's healed completely, like he was never shot. And he takes down the shooters, and then him and the love interest start dating. This book was an interesting idea, especially after I figured out what was going to happen with outlining. However, I couldn't write it, because writing is hard. Did you know that? It's hard. And at that time, the only other thing I've been working on for a long time, which is to date my longest project in development, was Forbidden Realm. And that was easy to work on. So I gave up on this book. And primarily, though, it was because I just never thought I could come up with an idea and finish it.
More on that in a second.
Other reasons why this didn't work out. A major one is I was writing the wrong genre. Two wrong genres. The first being Christian novel or Christian fantasy or just Christian in general. I was a Christian. I was actually just getting into my Christianity days at that time. It would take me literally a decade before I would come to my senses and leave that cult called Christian. So that was trying to make it a Christian book. Also because it was an urban fantasy. Because it was set in the real world, even though it barely meant that. Because Skylar had an ability that I was never going to talk about how or why he had it. I think it was because I just recently seen Harry Potter and started to try to read the third book in that series. That was in the real world. I wanted mine to be in the real world. That was one. There was a bigger reason why this didn't work out. And that was that mind frame, that belief that I was incapable of coming up with an idea and finishing it, fleshing it out enough where I had a full story. Even though I had just done it and gotten further than I ever had with this project. But to me, not being able to write this book just proved to me I couldn't do it. It would take me 3 more years to prove that belief wrong. For me to realize there was a whole treasure trove of evidence that right in front of me with Forbidden Realm that I could do this. Overall, I'm glad I didn't write it because you just saw what this book was about. And it was a
Terrible, horrible, no good, very bad idea.
There you go, the story of my first attempt at writing a novel and how the horrible fate of it crashing and burning.
Like it deserved.
I am so glad that was not my first novel, but I do wish I started writing novels back at that point, just moving to a new story. And as much as Christian as Legends of the Godchild is, it had everything this story didn't have that I needed to write it and complete it. And there are still scenes in that draft that drove me in and had me questioning, like, how did I write this back then? When I struggled to write this good years after, and sometimes even now? Oh well.
Oh, wait.
That's right. I have an entire series.
Talking about that. You've made it to the end of this video. If you enjoyed it, why not smash that like button and subscribe? Want to see the video that broke me in how bad my channel's content was? Click the video over there. You know, the one on the other side of the screen? On me reflecting on this channel. Warning, it's boring. And I'll see you over there. Thanks for watching. Bye.